Tusculum Pioneers capping off a remarkable season this year, getting to that 20-win plateau, heading into the Pilot Flying J South Atlantic Conference quarterfinals, not where they had intended. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Stetton. Welcome into Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer Coach Devan Carter. A Pioneer basketball team I think that you resurrected. I talked about it a lot this year, a team that had become relevant. It hasn't always been easy for you taking over the program and building this program back to where it needed to be. This year, very relevant and a program that earning and should have deserved, I think, that home berth. We didn't get that necessarily, but as you reflect now and going down the stretch, how impressed were you with your squad and the way they played, especially in the second half of the year?
I think that, when we go back and look at this year, I think this is going to be a turning point for our program. You look at the adversity we faced this year. You look at the injuries we had this year. For us to get to 20 wins is a remarkable feat for our team and for our program, considering, like you said, all the things that we've been through. Never been on a team that faced so much adversity. Losing your two all-conference players before the year basically even started, losing your toughest player, and then having to have kids step up. And our kids did step up. They stepped up in a mighty way. And we did some things that hasn't been done here for about a decade. And, I tell our kids all the time that we're always looking to push the envelope. We're always looking to get better. We're always looking to improve. And I felt like our kids did that this year. They dealt with me all year. They dealt with my staff all year, and they always responded because they always worked hard and bought into what we're trying to do. And so, when you buy into those little things, big things can happen. And, some great accomplishments this year. But I think that this is kind of the standard now that we've set for our program. And to be quite honest with you, moving forward, we're going to expect this type of year every year. Yeah. And we've got to take it a step further now. And so proud of our kids, really, really proud of the effort they put in this year. Really proud of my coaches, the effort they put in as well. And it paid off in another step for us. 3 steps. Year 1, year 2, and year 3, we made a step every year.
Let's talk about one of the final steps. That was a road trip to Wingate University, and we just seen this team just at the end of the regular season, that overtime loss, which we've kind of already talked about. You traveled there to the Cuddy, and when we went there back in January, it was one of those back and forth type games as well. We got the matchup. We got a little glimpse of how good Talia Jeter could be in the paint. We'll talk a little bit more about her, and I just think her emergence down the stretch. To get there, if you aren't aware of the story, the Pioneers had to vacate 4 conference wins through the year. So that moved them from that number 4 spot, which they had attained at the final week of the regular season, into a tie for 5th. Tiebreakers took them to 7th. So here they go, unbalanced in the league for the most part, a 4 seed on the road to travel to take on a 2 seed in Wingate University. They weren't thrilled about it, obviously. Right. And I think the heavyweight matchup showed it in the first half. Neither team was great, but it wasn't because they were so defensive minded in that first half. Why was it so difficult to put up points in the first half?
Well, we just seen each other, and me and Coach Hancock joked that after our game at Tusculum in the overtime, we joked with each other before the game, and we said, well, the scout's done. So we knew each other like the back of our hand. I mean, they're calling plays. We know what's coming. We're calling plays. They know what's coming. And one thing about Wingate that that's just a testament to Coach Hancock, honestly. I know sometimes coaches, we get egotistical and we don't like to give people credit. But that lady coaches her butt off. And testament to her is that, when adversity hits, they always respond. And they've got veteran leadership. They've got kids who step up. They're always poised. They take after her because she's that way. She doesn't, you don't hear her yell. She's chill. She's like Phil Jackson over there, just relaxed. And so, in that first half, it was just a defensive struggle. Both teams just sitting down, guarding each other. 2 of the best defensive teams in the country. Yeah. And you saw that. It's just so unique because, we like to get out and score a lot of points and push the pace and do everything else, but really good teams have a way of bringing you down to their pace. And, here over the last second half of the year, we've had to slow things down as well due to injuries. The number of bodies we had, we play a lot slower than we normally would, and have had to play zone and do those things. And so, it was a game where tempo was slow, and two teams just sitting down guarding. And first half, it was scratching and clawing to score the basketball. I'm sitting over here like, what can we run to get a bucket? Because defense was played at an elite level in that game.
Second half, the Pioneers opened up an 8-point lead led by their all-conference performer, Mia Long, which we'll get into in a moment. But Mia finishes with 17 of her game-high 22 in that contest in the second half. Was it just and I've said this, especially in the tournament this past weekend, where you can't run your stuff because the other team knows so much about what you're doing. Now it becomes your athlete, can it be better than the other team's athlete? And I think Mia Long had that. I think she had that advantage. Or were you just running stuff for her in that second half?
Well, we run kind of a motion type deal. Coach Keys told me this a long time ago. Or I think it was Rick Pitino told me this a long time ago. It ain't about X's and O's, it's about Jimmy and Joe's.
Yeah.
And so, we just try to put our kids in a situation to make plays. Obviously, I think in the first half, I'll be quite honest with you, she was I don't know. I felt like she was, passing the ball a little too much, not attacking and getting downhill like she normally does. In the second half, she just picked it up. She started making plays. She started getting downhill and getting to the rim and finishing at the rim, and provided a huge spark for us. The thing with Wingate is, you make runs on them, and they're going to respond, and they responded in a big way. But getting Mia downhill, she's a playmaker for us, and we've got to get some more kids like her that can get downhill and make those plays. And she stepped up for us in a mighty way and led the charge for us in the second half.
One of the players who has stepped up for this team this year, too, and a point of emphasis for Coach Carter and his offense is you got to go into the paint. You got to go to the bigs. Well, Talia Jeter, the reason that Tusculum shot just 28% from the field was because of Talia Jeter, nearly a triple-double in her second consecutive game. In the regular season finale, I thought, wow, she's kind of getting away with some stuff. But then I realized as I step back and look at it, she's just a very good talent.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good matchup, number one, for her. And she got comfortable, obviously. Yeah. And again, with the second consecutive game where she finishes with 9 blocks, she made things very rough for Kendrea the entire day.
If you want to pinpoint one kid and say, hey, this is why, Wingate was able to beat Tusculum, it was Talia Jeter. Every year, every game, people know when the game is coming to a close and we need a bucket, we're going inside. Mm-hmm. We're getting the ball down low to KD, and she's shown throughout the year that she's one of the best post players in the league, capable of just scoring in bunches. She does a great job of getting to the foul line, and she's one of the best ceiling bigs I've ever been around. Talia Jeter basically, defensively just stepped up for them in a mighty way. Yeah. I know the first time we played them, Kendrea had 19 points, 17 rebounds, and one of the best efforts I've ever seen from a big in this league. And then, they doubled her every time she caught the ball. And so a lot of it was, I think, KD knew the double was coming, and she tried to either spin away from it and get the shot up quickly, or she tried to pass out of it. But they did a great job of sending help for Jeter, and Jeter did a great job of protecting her yard, as we say. Mm-hmm. Huge blocks, to take away our inside presence, and it made things tough for us. You look at the run when we get up 8, a lot of that came from outside shots. It wasn't, it wasn't in points in the paint. It was a couple threes that we got loose on and were able to knock down. So. And then you look at how she was in the conference tournament. She was a stud in the paint all weekend. And, that just shows a testament to her. It reminds me of when Marta Masenko busted out in the conference tournament a couple years ago. And so for our sake, I hope the kid has a great career, just not against us. Because she's looking, she's definitely looking like one of those kids that can turn the corner and elevate that program for Wingate.
The Bulldogs would go on the 20-6 run to end the game after the Pioneers led by Joe Snow, who scored all 16 of her points in that second half and got to the free throw line as well. And for Wingate, nearly a season high in threes made in the game as well. In Tusculum, they don't give up a whole lot of threes, just that Wingate started making them. And again, he's already alluded to it, kind of that presence or that allure from Coach Ann Hancock and what she brings, that toughness to that team. A Pioneer team that had plenty of toughness in the contest as well. One of the stingiest defenses in the conference, but both of them were the stingiest defenses in the conference as far as points allowed per contest. Wingate gets the victory. They move on to the semifinal, get that win. They go to a final for the 4th consecutive year. They were in the finals. They did fall to Anderson this past weekend as Alexi Molenauer and Ace Easter were able to do enough in the final. However, Wingate down big. We're able to close the gap to 2 with the chance to win it with Courtney Robinson at the free throw line. She missed the first, intentionally missed the second, and we're unable to get the putback as Anderson would win the tournament championship by 2. But Ann Hancock did punch a team that had won 26 consecutive games in the mouth in that second half, which is exactly what Coach Carter is talking about. Pioneers, we'll talk a little bit more about their season when we return right after this as you watch Pioneer Basketball with Coach Devan Carter.
Ready, set, go to Johnson City Toyota, where new Tacomas start at $309 a month with 0 down. Drive the all-new RAV4 for $209 a month or save over $4,000 on Highlander. See more great deals at johnsoncitytoyota.com.
We welcome you back into Pioneer Basketball with Coach Devan Carter. I'm Brian State. The Pioneer Basketball team finishing with 20 wins, ultimately finishing in the top 4 in the South Atlantic Conference this year, taking huge strides. The numbers that we'll talk about now that you have changed this team, changed the culture. Press you. I like what's on the back of the T-shirts. Defensively, we hang our hat. Nick's going to scroll some numbers up there. Steals in the country, field 3-point percentage defense, scoring defense, tops in the conference, and so many things defensively. But I think what we don't get enough credit for, because it didn't really shine over the last 3 weeks, was our offense, and our offense was extremely good this year too.
Yeah, one of the things that I really wanted to do, obviously, is I was having a conversation with my dad, the real Coach Carter, and you know, he said, at the end of the day, what do you want to be known for? And you know, what is your identity? And you know, between first few years, you really couldn't say because you had so many different moving parts. But you know, I wanted to be elite defensively. And then, you know, we had to find a way to be more efficient offensively. And I will give credit where credit's due. Nick Pasqua was one of the best offensive minds that I've ever been around. Mm-hmm. And you could be on the golf course and he'd show you something and you'd be like, wow, like this dude eats, drinks, sleeps basketball, and how does his mind go that way? And always been a defensive guy. And just, you know, wanted to find a way to be better offensively and be more efficient. And, you know, obviously, you know, talking with him and some other coaches was big for my development as a coach. And, you know, I felt like with our kids, we had, you know, the kids that could operate efficiently offensively and can make shots and do those different things. But at the end of the day, sometimes as coaches, we get into running all this complex stuff and it doesn't flow together. And we just wanted to put our kids in a situation to make plays and to knock down shots. And so as a coach, I've had to evolve this year, less hitting and grinding and being a lot easier on their bodies. But everything goes to our kids. They work. They get up shots every single day. They get in the gym every single day. They work their butt off. And so you look at some of our kids' numbers from last year to this year and how they've improved. You look at Mia Long's numbers. You look at Jayla Arnwine's numbers. You look at Jazz Williams' numbers. You look at Kendra Duke's numbers. All those kids improved from last year. And I think as a coach, you want to see that. You want to see your kids working and to get better. They work to become better offensive players. And the defensive side for us, that's a non-negotiable. I mean, if you don't defend, then you just won't play. And you know, sometimes parents don't understand that. They think that you're supposed to play just because of where you've been, but if you can't defend, then you'll never play for us. You can go ahead and cancel that. So, you know, our kids bought into the defensive end, and I think #1 defensive team in the league. Last year we were 11th. We were 200 and some in defense last year. I don't know where we finished in the nation this year, but one of the top 15, 20 defenses in the country, best in the league, and that's just a testament to the kids. Same kids, minus a few that were injured, but same kids, but they just bought into that side of the ball, and I give all the credit to them.
Top 20 defensive team across the board for this Pioneer basketball team, just a complete flip, and the offense obviously was very good as well for this Pioneer basketball team. A lot of that had to do with the players that they had. You know, you do lose Casey Johnson and Sydney Wilson basically before the season, Torrey Patton right there at the end. But when you lose Sid and then you lose Torrey back-to-back with injuries, you had to change your whole culture basically down the stretch. But you still were a very high-scoring team. Enough to place 3 players on the all-conference team to earn that accolade and to earn that. And we'll talk about and showcase the honorable mentions this year in Yo-Yo, Yolisma Cupidon, and Kendrea Duke, and what they meant. I think for Yolisma, it was the fact she was the Iron Man of the group, you know, 3rd in the league in minutes played. She never came off the floor.
Yeah.
She could play with 2 fouls. And I know your philosophy,
Yeah.
I got to pull you out.
Right.
And you did late in
Yeah.
the year. But there were points in the year where she's picked up 3 fouls in the first half. You could not take her off or
Yeah.
everything stopped.
Right. And you know what? I tell people this, and I truly mean it. They say, what is you know, been the thing? How have you got the program flipped? And, you know, how were you able to win 20 games with the injuries and everything else? It's because of people like Yolisma Cupidon, kids like that. One of the hardest workers I've ever been around. The kid, it doesn't matter what you ask her to do, she's going to do it to the best of her ability. It could be, hey, I need you to guard a 5-man. All right, coach. I'm going to need you to guard the point guard. All right, coach. I'm going to need you to be the top of our press. All right, coach. You know, I'm going to need you to guard the other team's best defender. All right, coach. And she's a coach's dream. And to be quite honest with you, with the group that we have graduating this year, my biggest fear, I guess, was not being able to find another Yolisma Cupidon, because I know what she's meant to our program. I know that she's been the main reason we've been able to take this step as a program, because the effort, the energy, the enthusiasm that she has, it permeates throughout our program. And when you look at, you know, she came in as just a driver, and then all of a sudden she's closing her career. She's knocking down threes in ball games, huge threes. And you know, she's still the top of our press. She's still guarding other teams' best player, and she's been enormous for our program, and just a tough kid. And to see her make all conference is just a testament to her hard work. Last year she didn't get that notoriety. She stepped up this year in a mighty way, and all conference.
I was mad at her because she cut her hair. If you believe in the biblical stories, you can't cut your hair, you lose your strength a little bit. However, she had that stretch of double-digit games for 12 straight, cut her hair, and she didn't get that double-digit game the very next game, so I was a little bit upset with her. Kendrea Duke was your strength basically all season long, and it was proven. She would get into foul trouble so much this year. We had to be a different team when she was off of the floor. And when she was on the floor, we saw her true strength.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's a big man. And when she seals you, you're done. And she did a great job of sealing at the rim for us all year. Definitely the inside presence. I tell people this all the time. Guards, we think it's about us, and it's not. But if you want to win games, when it comes down the stretch, you got to be able to dump the ball inside. And we were able to get the ball to KD all year. Really, our offense centered around her, you know, getting the ball down low and opening it up for everybody else. And she just had some monster games this year. Like, you know, there were spurts where she was on the floor and she was unguardable. You know, you look at, you know, some of the games against Newberry, some of the games against LMU, you know, the first time we played Wingate, you know, you could just dump her to basketball and let her go to work. And, you know, whether teams played a zone, whether they played us man, they may say, hey, they don't shoot it great, we're going to play them zone. Well, we attacked our zone from the inside, and KD was a big part of that. Has single-handedly won us ball games in her career. We beat, I guess, Newberry for the first time in a couple years last year. I think it was like 7 or 8 years. KD was huge in that. We go to LR and win for the first time in like 8, 9 years. KD was huge in that. And so she's provided a lot of firsts for our program in almost a decade. her recruiting visit is funny, and I'm going to tell you guys about her visit. She comes on her visit, and she's quiet and everything, and it's me, her, and one of my assistants, and she drives in and looked like she had been up all night. She had to get up early to drive here, and one of the first things she asked me is there a Zaxby's around here? And I was like, yeah, you want to go? And so we go to Zaxby's, and she commits to us in like 30 minutes, and I'm just like, wow, that's all it took was some Zaxby's, and she committed to us. And great kid, great personality, one of the another staple for us as to how we've been able to turn our program around. Very outgoing, brings a lot of enthusiasm to us, embodies everything we want in our program. So gonna miss her. I wish we could get an extra year out of her because she's been pivotal for us, and she's been great for our locker room as well.
Somebody who will come back next year is Mia Long, and for the second time, I'm glad to see the South Atlantic Conference do this. Defensive Player of the Year, I think it's been needed because there's been these shutdown type people, and that was Mia this year, 4.1 steals per game. It was just difficult for most people to bring it into the front court. And then she showed her hard work in shooting. Her three-point percentage was up. Her free throw percentage was up just a little bit. Her overall field goal percentage was up this year. A lot of things improved for Mia Long, not just defensively, but proved why she earned that award.
Yeah, very good, for us in the press. I mean, she's, usually the first person that point guard has to go against, and she's going to be faster than anybody she goes against. When she transferred in here, Coach told me, no matter who you play, Coach, she's going to be the fastest kid on the floor. And he was right. And, she's been the fastest kid on the floor for us doesn't matter who we play. I saw her in the preseason this year. We were playing a Division I team at their place. And, she frustrated their point guard to the point where their point guard almost had a conniption on the floor. She was so stressed out. And I'm looking, and we're beating this team by 8-9 points with like a minute to go. And, Mia's just zooming through their defense, and just a kid that's really talented, a kid that, has worked hard, and she's, stepped up this year. A lot of responsibility was on her, being our primary point guard, and she stepped up and filled that role. Obviously for her, the thing is going to be how she continues to work. If she continues to work, then I think next year when we have this conversation, she'll be first team all conference. Right. She's the best returning point guard in the league. I think that goes without question. And so, it's going to be on a lot of responsibility is going to be on her to lead us next year. And the thing that we've got to make sure as a program is that we continue to develop our kids. How can we improve that three-point percentage even more? How can we improve that free throw percentage even more? Because she's going to be on the floor a lot. And so she's going to have to be that catalyst for us, and we're going to have to get some kids to go around her that can run with her. And, very excited to see, last year she didn't get in any of this notoriety as well. And so for her to be Defensive Player of the Year, second team All-League, that's a testament to her and her hard work. Congratulations
to those three Pioneers for their hard work that did pay off. I did get on Mia one time. I think she was more concerned about her hair than coming up with steals in one of the games. That's because her ponytail had messed up, I think, in the contest. She would have had at least two more if she wasn't worried about throwing her hair. Or I was yelling at her to get her hair cut at that point. No, I joke. The Pioneers that had the kitchen sink of adversity thrown at them this season deserve better than their fate there down the stretch. But it was what it was. And I think for this Pioneer team, the foundation has definitely been set. And now the challenge continues for Pioneer coach Devan Carter and this team to seek higher and better opportunities going forward. And we look forward to that challenge for a Pioneer basketball team. For everyone behind the scenes here at the Pioneer Sports Network, Nick, for Dom, for Jim, and all of those, he's Pioneer coach Devan Carter. We look forward to seeing you next season. And until then, I'm Brian Staten. Go Pioneers.